All right, this section is entirely dedicated to taking a claim and then using statistics to see if maybe we can reject the claim or maybe we can't reject the claim. But before we jump into this, it's very important to break claims down into what's known as a null hypothesis and an alternative hypothesis. So in short, the null hypothesis is always going to contain equality, while the alternative hypothesis will be the opposite of the null hypothesis. It will either be to the left, to the right, or just not equal to. It could be on the left or the right. So let's break down a few claims. If somebody claims that the average male heart rate is 69 beats per minute, then the null hypothesis, which I'll denote with an H sub 0, is that the average heart rate, so I'll use mu because we're talking about average, is 69 beats per minute. So in this case, the null hypothesis matches the original claim. The null hypothesis, again, is always going to be the equality sign. So if somebody claims that the average male heart rate is 69 beats per minute, then the null hypothesis is the average is 69 beats per minute. The alternative hypothesis, which I'll denote with an H sub A, is that the average is not equal to 69 beats per minute. Now, this might seem kind of silly, but it's going to be very important to understand how to break down claims in order to draw the right distribution when we solve problems. Let's think about B. The average female height is less than 5 foot 5 inches. The null hypothesis, again, always contains equality. So if the claim is the average female height is less than 5'5", then the null hypothesis is that the average is 5'5". The alternative here, however, is going to match the claim, right? The claim isn't as strong as this one up here. It's not saying that the height is a certain number. It's just saying that it's somewhere less than 5'5". So the alternative will be that the average is less than 5'5". For C, claim, fewer than 95% of adults have a smartphone. Now, this is no longer an average. So let's change our notation. Instead of mu, I'll say P for proportion, right? 95% is a proportion. So the claim fewer than 95% of adults have a smartphone, again, null hypothesis is always equality. So equal to 95%. The alternative here will match the claim, fewer than 95%. So in short, if you have a claim that has, whether it be about an average or a proportion, if it's equality, then the null hypothesis will also be the equality. The alternative is going to be not equal to. If your claim is just about one side of the distribution, less than or greater than, then again, the null hypothesis is always going to be equal to, but the alternative will match the original claim. It will either be less than or greater than.